Hello, this is Mount Limited and Alexa, set timer for 30 minutes. Alexa, set timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now.
Now, yeah, if you're asking, well, I thought the series is dead. Thankfully, I had found a way to bring it back. I remembered how to go back and use an older version of the game, so that's good. So let's hope it works. So, still contesting in Piranha. Get Moise Lupion to joint first. One more time and I can take the town. Got that. Let's get rid of you. Next. Form an agricultural commission. Peasants' leagues have lost their leader and now the rural regions of Brazil are once more in chaos. The peasants' leagues and union no longer restrained but are making unrestrained demands and striking en masse. Even when the strikes are not taking place, these employers' tensions are rising to unsustainable levels at the beginning to negatively affect our politics and economy. This cannot be borne. Accordingly, President Lott will conceive an agricultural commission in order to devise a plan of action, agrarian reforms, and devise a bill that will put this issue to rest once and for all. Little acts. Goulart, these have been going well enough. He woke up with a firm understanding of what the day will bring. He spoke to his friends over when he would meet them next, and he was almost at work by the time he tripped it. Why it became such a bother to Goulart was what he tripped on. Just next to the dark alleyway was a foot of a man lying in the mud. Before he could even stumble to the ground, the heart's hands shot out in front of him. Shit. Language. Sorry, that's on me. Under a small newsstand worth of newspaper, the man seems to be lying down as though he was hiding a bloodhound or a bear, as the mud underneath him squished as his hands were laid back into the dirt where it was insulting to even see. Someone laying perfectly still in the mud. Goulart was taken back more than anything before reaching out, hold his hands. Here, up. With a sigh and a heave, the two men were standing next to each other, one looking considerably worse to wear than the other. The man seemed to be only partially protected from the mud, still somewhat swathed of it covered in black, which Goulart couldn't help but seem to be trying to wipe off the mud. You're alright? The man stood with a look in his eye that Goulart was pained to even see. His mind flew to the speech and he was give later today, wiping off the mud of the man. The man was more than enough. Let his mind fly to Oro and those bastards. On the other end of the PSD that let him lay there. Glot could already feel some new adjustments being given to his speech. He was already uncertain of. Sure, just fine, thank you. The look in his eyes the man betrayed 1,000 times over offered one last betrayal and revealed how the man had been laying there. Glad checked his watch. 5 minutes. Listen, there's a kitchen down the road, and to the left. Get yourself clean. I'll meet up you there in an hour. The man looked at Glad with what anyone could see as appreciation, even if he didn't say a word. Glad smiled and walked to his speech. So he is the leader of the PTB. The PTB, the Brazilian Workers' Party. Alright. That's going ahead soon. Picos will be constructed. That's good. Vacation destination. It was a hectic night for Vice President, Central Office of Yanukovych Koros, and his aides were sitting at the table and making the final preparations for his visit to the Coke Prosperity Sphere. This was going to be the most critical task of the eccentric Vice President had to face so far, as a visit to the second biggest economic bloc could bring some much needed investment into the Brazilian economy, perhaps even speeding up construction of the Trans-Amazonian Highway. As others at the table discussed the great opportunity to come, Rodriguez pondered as he could make this visit a remarkable one. Mr. Vice President, an aide interrupted his train of thoughts. We believe to have devised a great plan. Once you arrive in Tokyo, we shall... Tokyo? No, that will not do, Lord exclaimed, as the room grew quiet, with all the heads turned to the Vice President with a puzzled look on the face. If we visit Japan first, this would be a very underwhelming visit. We first need to visit Nanjing. But Mr. Vice President, if we visit China first, the Japanese will not going to be happy about it. We might lose their trust and may not get the investment we need. Nonsense, Quadras cut out. I am sure the Prime Minister would be delighted to know his country is the main course of this visit. As the room grew louder, with many trying to convince Yanyo not to go to China first, and Lot sat close by the PSD members, listening closely and discussing the unraveling, some trying to hold back the laughter from Quadra's nonsense. Others some time passed. Edna walked to a nearby telephone and called her father. Oh, father? It seems that even without alcohol, Quadras is still a very stubborn man. It seems he will be convinced going to China before Japan is a good idea. If his crew isn't able to convince him otherwise, then he will turn Brazil into a laughingstock all across the sphere. Enrique slapped his hand to his face and sighed audible at the other side of the phone. I'll discuss it with him today. But more importantly, come on, baby. I want to get Moise Lupion in charge. Swooping the cherry blossoms. After a long and tiring trip, Daniel Quadros and his delegation finally arrived in Japan. Getting off the plane immediately felt overwhelming. He watched a large crowd cheering him, waving Japanese and Brazilian flags in unison. Filled with ecstasy, Quadros waved back to the crowd. back at the crowd as he stood there boarding at this very moment. Quadros felt that if he were the president of Brazil, Quadros stepped onto the red carpet waiting for him, and at the bottom of the stairs, walking seemingly intoxicated, with a wide, goofy smile on his face, as a Japanese guard surrounded him, observing him. With some confusion at the end of the carpet, he met with Ino Hiroya, with whom he exchanged a bow and took a picture before walking off. Shortly after, they were greeted by the NHK news reporter asking questions about his goals to visit it and how they would benefit the relation of Brazil. Quadros paused his walks for a second and perhaps ordered to ponder the next words. Back home, Lotz was sitting down drinking a small cup of whiskey while watching his partner arrive in Japan. Without any issue and crisis, soon it would be the time to get ready to meet the Americans at the other end. The American ambassador, Lincoln Gordon, nervously watched the vice president arrive in Japan, thinking that this could only spell doom for magistrates in Brazil. Quadros knew that he had to speak cautiously, as if he had said something out of place, someone wouldn't be happy, as if on cue the reporter leaned Mike Kerner pointing to say, that he looked forward and establishing stronger economic and diplomatic ties to the Japanese sphere, or he looked forward to viewing the beautiful cherry blossoms in the country and meeting the emperor. I do that one, so it's a more neutral response. Escalation. Lotz listened to Wolfersol's report of the situation in Bolivia. His mood darkened with each passing moment. This was bad, very bad. The tripartite pact has been the only thing keeping Bolivia from falling apart after decades of conflict and instability. After the Fifth Chagos War between La Paz and Asunción had nearly brought Bolivia to the brink of collapse, and with it the global tin prices, Argentina, Chile, and Brazil decided to finally put an end to the chaos. Bolivia would be treated as a neutral nation with equal trade access for all, and in return, the ruling clique of oligarchs would remain in power with outside support. The Transandean Treaty was a challenge to that, but hardly expected the Argentines to use the nuclear option, military intervention. Military interventions were training exercises near the border and flight sorties by the Paraguayan puppet. I thought Frondizi was better than that. Risking all-out war with petty power politics must be a bluff. All due respect, sir, we can't take the chance. Bringing the Argentines into negotiations is better than another Chagos war, or worse. Besides, Frondizi, is that how you say it? I can't say it, may not be the one pulling the strings here. His government is on the verge of collapse, and we all know the influence Miller has in such matters. Charles says, all too well, Lotz replied glumly, thinking of his own prediction. Very well, I want to tell the Argentines we're willing to bring them to negotiation, but keep it quiet. I don't want this overshadowing our vice president's long-awaited tour of Japan. So our rival in the sphere, who doesn't even have a focus tree, is canonically part of the triumvirate. By the way, I wish there was something to actually keep the triumvirate together. I'm just saying, TNR, you need to do it. I get TNO is no longer going to be able to do it. I mean, that's a check. I think they cut. I understand they supposedly put a 3-year-long focus tree for Chile. So yeah, I'll be gone for a brief second, but I'll be back just about. I think also we've reached the halfway point. Hello, I am back. I'm in Bagadan. I am back now with my tea, battered sausage and chips. So you'll probably hear some munchings. Soon, so be prepared. Anyway, addressing the legislature, Quandrus looked upon the audience in awe. It was a grand saloon filled with who knows who he know who were grand politicians, all very verse and very well judgmental. He trusted Edna work would suffice to give a good, if not decent, over the Japanese national legislature. He called forth Tendi's intention and slightly raised his hand. The Japanese shown that it is capable of taking as an example to follow, the inspiration of all nations of the world, and how the country can prosper and develop economically and fascinating. Is one of my personal inspirations for me in Brazil. He took the pause, tapping his finger on the table before him. The conservative moral structure and traditional values of the Japanese culture keep a strong and healthy country alongside its Pan-Asian brotherhood and regional unity, a model that Latin America would most certainly benefit from. Through short, the lead in the speech left no bitter taste of the legislature's attendees' mouths. Instead, Congress found himself receiving polite applause. Another controversy averted? Good. Mm-hmm. Australia resigns. leading champion in Parana, so at least I'll get 1 vote. Hopefully. This is the next good choice. So the next one to go for, I believe, shall be Espirito Santo. Quadros has finally achieved it, outsmarting his aides and confidence. Lot had sent over the check. In check, he was free now for at least a moment, free to enjoy the charms of Tokyo and brightly colored technological golden age. The lights were nearly blinding. Not even in Rio could Quadros find himself in such luxurious environment. So much so that the entire location was almost alien to him. Little food stands and souvenir shops packed as far as the eye could see, giving streets a cozy and mercantilist bustling life. For a moment Quadros nearly forgot that there were only a few hours before he would return to his summary duties, the meetings, the interview, the speeches, where instead he could do marching down the fire light streets, always days away from all the politics he swore to dedicate himself to. He shrugged, ready to lose his last few hours in good faith rather than worry, which he noticed sake, a beverage alcoholic so far more delicious than anything in Brazil, but he must remain sober for the meeting to come, perhaps if only. No, I better not. For the sanctity of everything, don't get drunk. Time. And me eating. Troilus courtesied over the welcoming party, arrived only a few minutes earlier than expected, clad from head to toe in acceptable professional wear, escorted down a few hallways, turning from right to left, right and to left. Losing himself in the labyrinth of the past, he finally gathered a large opening behind one of the set doors. In adequate awe, Quadros went to bow over the presence of the Emperor. It was a particular experience, as if the environment irradiated some sort of importance. Little words are actually exchanged between Quadros and the Emperor, though it soon became a productive meeting. He sighed, a sign of relief. He knew things would change now that the Japanese now know Quadros is a trustable man with great help to their work in Brazil, and the only personal interest, unlike PSC, Japan has a relief of a good backbone to negotiate mutual respect, a routine success. I'm gonna move that. What that happened? Wait. Let's go. Pinos has been connected. That happened. First, diplomatic thing. Ooh. We also have 4 minutes left, so let's get it rolling. Reports to President Lott on the Bolivian situation. The past 2 decades have seen an unpredictable expansion of Argentine power throughout South America. Through the use of threats, exploitation, force of arms, they have sabotaged this once peaceful continent and Brazilian interests. Recent developments have given us a chance to push back this aggression without compromising the Brazilian security of triggering another conflict. The key lies in the proposed Trans-Andean Treaty of Economic Cooperation with Bolivia and Chile. After years of sporadic conflict with Paraguay, Bolivia was economically devastated and threatened by a fascist breakaway state of Veracruz. Here, which is not fascist, it's paternalist, and led by the Oriental Socialist Party. These conflicts were put on hold with the passage of the Tripartite Pact of 1957, an agreement between Chile, Argentina, and Brazil to guarantee Bolivian sovereignty and open the country to equal exploitation of its lucrative mineral resources. Nevertheless, Bolivia remains a precarious, crucial position. Argentina continues to support Santa Cruz and has expanded its economic influence in Bolivia. Simply put, we are losing the battle, but the Trans-Andean Treaty put us back in the game. First proposed in 1959, it would give Brazil tariff-free access to the Pacific, control over Bolivia's transport infrastructure, significant undermining of Argentine influence in the Tripartite Pact. Unfortunately, initial negotiations failed because Chile was looking to challenge Argentina with the aftermath of the Snipe War. Recent events have changed the calculus, and first, the expansion of the Chilean Navy that neutralized the Argentine threat in the Antarctic, making Chile's port possible once again. Second is the rise of the power of President Franzini, I can't say that, in Argentina. At the expense of the military, he has indicated the desire to de-escalate the growing rivalry, and is highly unlikely to resort to forced preparedness for the secret negotiations in place. Then all we need is your approval, Mr. President. Lot sends a word if it was time to begin. Let's close that. There we go, our first global, air quotes, conflict. Alexa, stop. That. Alright. This has been this video. Our first global conflict. Can't do anything with that. But next time we'll continue with this and hopefully get the Spirit of Santo before the 8th of October. And hopefully maybe be able to get Guanabara. Hopefully. But we'll only see. Anyway, this has been Mountain Loaded. Hope to see you next time. Hope to see you then. This has been Mountain Loaded signing off. Good day, goodbye. Goodbye.